Good morning, good afternoon from wherever you're watching around the world or in time. Thank you for joining us. We're happy to have you guys here today for transitioning to Tanzu Platform 10.2. Unfortunately, we won't see our cameras on today, but we are joined by two magnificent speakers. We have friends of the program, Nick Kuhn and Darren Zook. Hey guys, but before I hand it off to these guys, just have some housekeeping items. We love to keep this as interactive as possible, so if you have any questions for us, submit them using the questions tab and we'll do our best to answer all of your questions live today. And if at any point during the presentation our cameras are able to come back on, you'll see our faces, our smiling faces, and a hand wave. But until then, let's keep this interactive. Interact with us during the through the chat and through the questions tab. And then here are our speakers, Darren and Nick.
Awesome. Thank you so much, AJ. Yeah, my name is Darren Zook. With me, I've got Nick Kuhn, and today we're going to talk to you a little bit about Tanzu Platform 10.2. We're going to talk about some of the release highlights as well as some important milestones and things you need to keep in mind as you potentially plan your upgrade and transition from Tanzu Application Service. As we get rolling, we'll jump into this next slide. We'll just do a brief disclaimer here. If you have seen or been with us at any of our VMware Explorer events, you're very accustomed to and familiar with this slide. There might be a few things that we may say a little bit out of turn or potentially, and just saying that, hey, we're not necessarily promising as an organization that we will deliver everything. But what you see today is largely what is shipping in Tanzu Platform 10.2. And so before we kind of get rolling into the what's new, I'd really like to kind of level set with what is Tanzu Platform. And so we're going to go ahead and jump forward. If you've been with VMware for some time, you probably, and potentially even Pivotal beforehand, you probably are familiar with the name Pivotal Cloud Foundry or Tanzu Application Service. Tanzu Platform is truly that. It's still Pivotal Cloud Foundry. It's still Tanzu Application Service or TAS running under the covers. But Tanzu Platform is kind of this new solution branding, I should say, that we're really leveraging to talk about this AI-ready private platform as a service story that helps accelerate idea to code and code to production for our customers and the organizations that depend on it. And so really this is anchored by the Elastic Application Runtime. And again, our Tanzu Application Service or TAS customers are very familiar with that because that handles all of the auto scaling and the resilient infrastructure for our applications. But then you also have things like build services that automate container builds and help enforce security and compliance standards. You have Spring services that offer that enterprise grade application framework for continuous application evolution and AI integration. You've got data services providing self-service access to managed and governed open source databases. We're going to talk a little bit about the AI services aspect of this today to really help simplify the path to production for AI and ML models and ensure that you've got governance in place and standards in place for AI services as they're being delivered. And then you also have the marketplace services, which is really there to help enable seamless connection to a very curated ecosystem of tools and AI models for developers to consume. At the end of the day, we know that, many customers are already depending upon Cloud Foundry. We've got very happy and satisfied customers who trust Tanzu Application Service and Tanzu Platform to really be that end-to-end PaaS for their environments today. And so, Nick, we'll jump into that next slide because really what we're here today to talk about is how do we transition to Tanzu Platform? And there's some important milestones that Tanzu Application Service customers need to be aware of. So first and foremost, if you're not aware, Tanzu Application Service 4.0 or TAS 4 is reaching end of support in a very short time frame. Actually, the end of next month, July 31st, Tanzu Application Service 4.0 will go end of global support. And what this means to you, if you're running a TAS 4.0 foundation, is that you're kind of on your own. You're really self-supporting via the support portal and other things like that, knowledge base articles. But what we're doing is we're really encouraging you to make that jump and make that leap to TAS 6 and then eventually to Tanzu Platform 10.2. But if you're running TAS 4 and you go past that July 31st date, it is important to know there won't be any more security patches, no more bug fixes. And so now is that time to upgrade. And so what does that upgrade process look like? And so Nick, if you jump to that next slide. So really, what's exciting about Tanzu Platform 10.2, as we announced this week, is that it is the next release in our long-term support track. So if you have followed along with Tanzu Application Service for a while now, back at Tanzu Application Service 4 or TAS 4, we announced this long-term support track. And what it allows us to do is to really say that, hey, for when you go to an LTS release or a long-term support release, it's now going to be supported for 2 years. And that was released back in 2023. And so it's coming to end of global support in July 31st of next month. So Tanzu Application Service 6 is going to be kind of that next jump for you. And you can see there are obviously releases that happen in between. We had Tanzu Application Service 5, we had Tanzu Platform 10.0. These releases are incredible feature releases, and we'll talk a little bit about some of the innovations that we bring to those, but they're not considered LTS releases and are supported for a shorter period of time. And so with Tanzu Application Service 6, that will carry forward to, its end of global support through June 30th of next year. And then after you move to Tanzu Application Service 6, you want to begin planning towards Tanzu Platform 10.2, which will go end of global support at some point during 2027. The other thing I will note here is that there is something new that will be implemented as part of Tanzu Platform 10.2, and this is just that license keys are going to be required beginning with Tanzu Platform 10.2. So it is an important consideration to just make sure you're aware of, that you'll have to go to the support portal to get license keys in addition to upgrading when you go to 10.2. So one other big piece of this is, everybody wants to know, well, how do I plan for these upgrades? How do I know what gotchas and different considerations that I need to take into account? And we've got you covered here. We have our Tanzu Platform Upgrade Planner. And really the goal here, and again, if you have been with us since the Pivotal days, you will recognize the pivotal.io URL here at the top, but upgradeplanner.pivotal.io will get you access to this tool. And here what you can do is you can actually download your diagnostic report from Opsman or your Tanzu Application Service Opsman, and it will basically create an XML file that contains a list of all the component versions that you're running today. And you can paste that in and then add all of the products that you are currently using today, as well as then specify which release you're looking to go to. And then what it does after you click generate is it will actually create you what you see on the right-hand side, which is a plan overview. It will show you, hey, okay, here's the current versions that you're running, and here is the first phase of what your upgrade looks like. And so if that is going from, HealthWatch 231 to 232, it's going to tell you what that looks like, and those are the components that you're going to update in that order and walk you through a very phased approach to help you get to the latest release that you're looking to move towards. So if it's going from 4 to 6, it's going to walk you through all of those components. And likewise, again, when you go from 6 to 10.2. So this is a tool that's out there to really help you in your upgrade planning and make sure that you're aware of any caveats or anything like that on your upgrade journey. So let's talk a little bit about why you want to upgrade and what new capabilities are a part of Tanzu Application Service 6 as well as Tanzu Platform 10.2. So let's start with TAS 6. Within TAS 6, we have really kind of a number of different areas that we added a lot of enhancements and capabilities. First and foremost, I'll start in that top left corner. Small footprint upgrades. This was a big deal for a lot of organizations that maybe needed to stand up a footprint in another site where they're leveraging TAS across multiple locations, but they didn't want to start with a larger footprint. They wanted actually a smaller footprint, maybe 4 to 6 VMs, to start off, and it really gave them just a low cost way to get started in that location, but then grow when they're ready or grow as business needs dictated. We also had a number of improved platform operations enhancements. One of the ones I'll highlight here, we're going to talk about a little bit later as well, but certificate rotation. For platform engineering teams, doing simple tasks or what should be simple tasks like certificate rotation when you're talking about this at scale across many Cloud Foundry foundations, it can be a time consuming ask. And so one of the things that we've heard from customers is, hey, can we make it easier to rotate certificates? And we've done that over the course of the last number of releases, and you're going to continue to see that improved. One of the other big things that we announced as part of TAS 6.0 was the Gen AI tile, and this was announced in beta. But the whole benefit for this for developers is they don't need to have infrastructure experience. They can leverage both GPU-backed models as well as CPU-backed models, and multiple models being supported for their applications, and making it really easy for them to consume that. We're actually going to show that live in a demo here a little bit later. Now, we go even further as we look forward to Tanzu Platform 10.2. So when we look at Tanzu Platform 10.2, you're actually going to see that we're taking some of those cost savings, we're taking them even further. But notice here on the far right hand side, there are so many different enhancements that were brought to core Cloud Foundry with Tanzu Platform 10.2 to really help improve the developer experience. We're introducing support side by side with version 2 build packs for the cloud native build packs or version 3 build packs. And this is great because it just provides more flexibility for developers. As we look toward things like automatic CLI updates. We want to make sure that we can make updates really easy to consume, as well as for platform engineering teams to know that they can push out the latest version of the CLI, and there's not mismatched versions that are sitting out there in the environment. There's also a number of canary enhancements we're going to talk a little bit about here in a little bit as well, that just really, again, kind of help improve the overall developer experience. And then the other big piece of Tanzu Platform 10, and Nick, you can jump to that next slide, is really the introduction of Tanzu Hub. And Tanzu Hub is that central global control plane for both platform engineering teams as well as developer teams. We want a way, especially when we're consuming at scale, to have a single place to monitor all of our foundations that could be deployed across multiple sites, potentially across multiple clouds, and be able to monitor all of the application health, the capacity, and the performance across all foundations. You can kind of think of this as some of the benefits of HealthWatch, but at a global scale. And now we're able to look at things like capacity visibility, as well as achieving compliance faster with CVE reporting and things like that. And then, as I already mentioned, the Gen AI tile, man, we took it even further with 10.2. We're making it much easier, not just for Spring developers, but also for developers who are working with Python, making it much easier to accelerate adoption, utilizing the Gen AI tile and building their applications for consumption at scale. So enough of me talking. I think what you're really here to see is, hey, what is new with Tanzu Platform 10.2? And so what I'm going to do now is I'm actually going to turn it over to Nick, and he's going to take us through some of these exact highlights and talk about the continued innovation of Cloud Foundry with Tanzu Platform 10.2.
Well, thanks, Darren. That was a great lead up here. Let's see. What's first on our continued innovation slide here. First and foremost, let's talk about Hub. So you may have seen last year at Exploris is kind of where we first launched the Tanzu Hub. It was originally operated within the SaaS format. However, we've brought that now to via an Opsman installation, so you can install it within your existing foundations, or if you want to spin up a new Opsman and just have it run Hub too, you can. But it's going to be a very simple process. I've done it a few times now, and there's not a whole lot of external dependencies. You really don't need to bring any other kind of external Kubernetes deployment or anything like that in there. Everything's rolled into the Hub tile, and you essentially just need a host name, like a DNS entry and a certificate. And if you want to use some of the Tanzu Intelligent Assist functionalities via a SaaS model, there's a key that you can get to plug in there, or you can kind of run your own local model too as well if you want some of that as well. And also, you can disable that too if you don't need that, or there are concerns from a security posture that you don't want to opt into the AI capabilities. So whatever way fits for you, we'll go from there. But I'm really excited about the hub, and there's a lot of cool things happening there. So with that, let's go see it in action. And I will attempt to break out of the screen share, and hopefully everything works in the GoToMeeting here. I'll go here, and might as well just make this full screen here. All right, so let's refresh and make sure everything's good. Am I still logged in? Perfect. All right, I'll zoom in here a little bit here just so you can see. But what you're seeing here is the view of the Tanzu Platform Hub when I logged in. I'm in as an admin. I can go if I wanted to. I've already attached a few foundations. So essentially, Hub is going to be the hub of all of your foundations, where you can wire in as many foundations as you need. You're going to get this unified kind of health watch, next generation health watch view, app metrics, apps manager, that you'll see all that stuff kind of merging into here. And we're doing a lot of innovation in this space for like multi-management of Cloud Foundry foundations. And as a PaaS platform engineer, it would have been really nice to have this back in the day, because when you start in the, managing dozens or, hundreds of foundations, it could become troublesome with doing that all individually, that type of thing. So we're in our welcome screen. I'll go and just check out what foundations I have here. If I go here, so we can see my foundations that I registered to this hub instance. Now I just have 2 of my smaller instances here registered, so I just have 2 foundations reporting. I don't have my big beefy foundation that I run yet in here yet, but I've got 2 foundations, and I will have more going down the road. But if we could drill into, we have some additional things here. We can kind of view like a cross foundational view of everything going on here. So we can see like app instances across my 2 foundations, service instances, which is nice. So as that roll up of all that, the instance counts as you're going up and down and scaling up and down, that's great to see. And you can track on a daily basis to say like, hey, like, did we have some kind of big event? Do we need to potentially look at, capacity going down the road? That type of thing. We could see what's in use from all the different build packs for the foundations, things of that nature. We're starting to see additional workload too, or like vCPUs used by the foundation, so you can help measure down at the lower level infrastructure perspective as well. vCPUs, ephemeral disk RAM. So that's going to be helpful too, to see all that resource utilization happening behind the scenes. So you can make sure that whatever underlying infrastructure you're using has enough capacity, especially with we're talking in the vSphere VCF environment. You need to make sure that you're planning, and the scale and growth of your foundations can kind of keep up with. Eventually, you got to have some bare metal to back all this app growth, right? And I really like here this app deployment scale and frequency. So we're starting to track deployments by foundation. So if we talk about some of those, like, we'll talk about like door metrics and productivity metrics. We can see how many times we're getting deployments per foundation. And, that's useful too for your management as well, to see, how many, how productive or how frequent your app teams are deploying and scaling up their applications. And we can see the different app stacks in use as well. So that is going to be something useful as well. So you can see, if you have, we're talking about the CF Linux FS3 to FS4 migration. We'll talk about that a little bit down next, a little bit further down in the presentation. But just monitoring that and seeing what's in use is a pretty nice feature to have as well. So a lot of great things happening here, just even in this screen. I won't be able to cover everything in the hub. I'm going to keep rolling through a couple of things here. We're starting to track drift as well within different tile versions within these different foundations. So if you wanted to see a roll up of all the different foundations and tiles that are being used. And I don't have this configured yet, but we're even starting this concept of a foundation group within the hub, where you can tag and wire up multiple foundations within your hub to have potentially do capacity management across different groups. Or let's say if you have like a PCI zone or a non-PCI zone and a general purpose, different workload styles, we'll be able to kind of carve all those foundation groups up into the hub. And there's a lot of planned things down the road to do more with these foundation groups, but this is just a very kind of intro here of what's going on. And if we go into services here, so this is the one thing that kind of took me by surprise. I didn't quite know this was going to happen here, but I'm pretty excited about it. So we have a view of the services marketplace of all your foundations. So that's pretty nice. But we're also seeing a structured view of all the user provided services or services provided by your foundations. Now I don't have a lot here, but on a larger foundation, this would be useful. You could search through it, you can query it, but without Hub, there's not really a great way to see a multi foundation aggregate view of that, or even within a singular foundation, because within you could iterate through Apps Manager and kind of go space by space and look what services have been created by that Apps Manager. But I really like to see this kind of getting rolled up into here. In this release, it's a read-only mode, but there are plans to do many cool things here with these services. So I'm pretty excited about that as well. Let's see, what else can we talk about here? I will be restricted of time because we have a bunch of other content here to demo here, but I'll just drill into some of the apps as well. We get a bunch of application view. Let's look by foundation. I'm going to look by my TDC foundation. We'll just filter that out. And I'm going to look by my webinar org. Get that. I don't think I have anything there. Let's go my GenAI samples here. Let's do that. All right, so I can go into one of my apps are already running here, and we'll see. And we should get we're starting to get some of the app metric style view in here. Resource consumption, that type of thing. App instance is running. We'll get a topology view as well. We'll see everything that's mapped to it. I can see that I have a couple services mapped to it, what space and what foundation. So that's pretty nice as well. We'll potentially even get some performance in here as well. I don't think this app has talked for a while, so it's not really reporting right now. But you just get the drift of it, and you can kind of see what's happening here. But without further ado, that's a very quick intro on what Hub is and what it can do. There's many other things we haven't quite covered yet in there, but we'll have to do a deep dive session on Hub itself. But I'll get back to the other content because being trying to keep on time here. I'll go back to our slides. All right, slides. So we've done the Hub demo. What's next? So we talked about certificate rotations, and if you've seen some of my past articles or past conversations, we've done a lot about the enhancement or making the life of the platform engineer better around certificate rotations. Starting way back in 4.0, you had platform automation toolkit pick up CA rotation. You had the ability to automatically rotate the non-configurable leaf serfs on apply changes in Ops Manager, which is really nice. That was the most frequently expiring certificate across the board. And I've run that multiple times in my foundations to, rotate those certificates. 5.0 timeframe brought the automatic rotations of Bosch DNS certificates. 6.0 timeframe, you started to see this certificate rotation dashboard within Ops Manager to help you keep track of all the different things and give you recommendations of where what the process is or not, that type of thing. And then as of 10.2, we now have the ability to rotate the SAML identity certificates within Ops Manager as well. And this may not, if you're not familiar with this process, it may not seem like super useful, but before you may be running some curl commands or some scripts on your Ops Manager to generate these rotation processes. And I'm happy to see this continue to push forward and get better. And I guess I do want to call out too. We want to make it better, but it's also let's take into let's remind ourselves that it's great that this platform can do all this and take care of all these certs for us at all and in general, as in working with other tools and other platforms. It's not there may be just no such mechanism to even do some type of rotation. So I'm great to see continued innovation within Ops Manager and Bosch and within Tanzu Application Service and our Cloud Foundry enhancements here. So And that being said, if there are more things you want to see, let us know, and we'll try to get that ready to roll here. And if there's any other kind of pains in this space, but lots of progress being made. You know, the teams are working diligently trying to make your lives easier. And open telemetry. So another like major feature that's gone across multiple releases. You may have heard me say this before. Is that this shared nothing architecture, right? Where we know and we've seen at scale, and I personally have as well. When you get large foundations, you have thousands, tens of thousands, even potentially hundreds of thousands of applications in your application estate. They produce a lot of logs, especially if your developers don't necessarily pay attention to what they're logging, right? So there's a lot of log throughput that comes out of a PaaS like Cloud Foundry and Tanzu Platform. And back some time ago, there's been a lot of core work to help provide a new alternative or a more streamlined process to capture all those logs and send them into a more in a better way, right? Because what we're starting to see is that like customers at scale, your Dopplers and traffic controllers could only scale out so wide before they started to see performance. Before it was just not really, you could keep scaling, but performance wouldn't necessarily grow with that scale out. So this concept, way back when we started the shared nothing architecture, it first started out in the 4.0 timeframe where we introduced aggregate syslog drains, where you could consume that similar style of data from the fire hose that you'd get from a fire hose nozzle, just directly out of an aggregate syslog drain. You could configure an ops manager and that just speak normal syslog. And for the 5.0 timeframe, we started introducing the open telemetry metric exporter as well. So you have between the aggregate syslog drains and the open telemetry metrics, a whole way to basically extract all the platform and app logs and metrics without traversing the whole firehose and Doppler traffic controller ecosystem, right? So 6.0, we essentially made the aggregate syslog drains went to GA and generally available. So that's another way. And then within the 10.0 timeframe, open telemetry support became generally available as well. So we're very close to the point where if you have this ecosystem, if you're rebuilding foundations and you're looking at what you can do, it may behoove you to look at this new way of configuring your logs and metrics. You could potentially save a lot of resources by not having to deploy Dopplers, traffic controllers in your foundations, and not really having to maintain or manage firehose nozzles as well. Because depending on whatever your subsystem is on the back end, those nozzles may or may not be like super reliable. Some of the ones I used to crash all the time, and I had to kind of manage and maintain those. So not having to do any nozzles at all is great for me because I can just configure a couple of simple endpoints and then just kind of hand it off from there. And a lot of people ask too, like the overhead. So we basically distribute the overhead across the Diego cells, so the logs are egressing directly from those cells, and that has that's where the kind of the trade-off is there. And we have seen they ask about the increased load on Diego cells, and that seems to be a pretty nominal event. Maybe a percentage or two, but we haven't really seen that be an issue. And we're looking at maybe 10, 15, 20% savings alone by just eliminating the Doppler and traffic controllers. And I guess the only one caveat too is that if you're using some third-party tiles that may or may not have picked up on this change yet, you may still need to use the fire hose for some of those older style integrations. But if you do have a third party and they haven't picked up on it, I would suggest you see what they can do to kind of update their integration as well, as it will save them a lot of time and resources as well by not having to potentially run a heavier workload to get those logs. All right, last and not least, and before we get to our next demo, let's talk about the Gen AI tile. You probably have seen me talk about this a lot in the past in previous webinars and things, but in the 6.0 timeframe, we launched the Gen AI tile beta. and that was really about enabling simple app consumption of your enabling large language model support within Tanzu Platform, brokering to other models, and really just wiring that up directly in that developer experience so they can have that CF bind, CF create service of my large language model directly in their application. In the 10.0 timeframe, we officially GA'd the Gen AI tile. So we're making progress there. And then as of 10.2, we have officially GA'd our support for all of our external models. So like the cloud providers like Azure, GCP, Anthropic is a big one that we just added as well. Sam Altman's OpenAI or ChatGPT. So if you want to use those and have our Tanzu AI server middleware broker for that as well, that's kind of a core part of the Gen AI tile. You can broker those external models as well. So we have a little bit for everyone there, and it's always exciting to play with these demos and talk about them. We should just dive right in there. All right, demo time. All right, let me break out of here one more time. We'll see. Okay. Okay, so let's see. I don't think I need a terminal for this, so we'll see. Let's see if I remember correctly. I'll go back to full screen here. We'll go not to my hub. All right, let's renew my session. Let's log back into Apps Manager. And you may be able to guess what my next demo is, but it's not yet. So we'll go home. I'm going to go into my webinar space. Ooh, I'm running this close to running this out of memory here, but we're going to talk about AI a little bit here, and you may have heard this term called MCP, or the Model Context Protocol, or perhaps agents or agentic AI, and that has been the 2025 AI rave. So Anthropic actually started that MCP protocol late last year. We actually support the official Java SDK for MCP, as it being Java and Spring Shop. So we have a lot of chops there as well. Not to mention we have the whole Spring AI project that really helps make a lot of this possible. But let's dig into what we can see from a platform perspective. So I've pre-deployed an application, and we're going to go into my route. I'm going to go just hit this route real quick here. I may have already loaded it here, but I will bring it over here. I'll zoom in here a little bit here, and let's see. I'm going to say a message. It's a chat message, so you can probably see where this is going, right? But I don't have a chat model available, and if I'm a developer and I've been tasked to build some kind of generative AI application, I'm going to need something like a large language model of some type here. And we have this great application written by Corby Page, where it's a great way to demonstrate the binding and the flow and how you can do different things with the platform. So I don't have a chat model available. That is accurate. I don't have any vector store or embedding model. I don't have agents, and I don't have memory defined. So these are all things that could be wired up to your application to make your application a little bit more intelligent and kind of really get into that agentic space. So I can fix that though. I'm going to go back to my application, and I'm going to create a few services here. So I already have some services created, but I want to go ahead and add a few more. So I need some large language models. Now I'm going to go into my marketplace. I'm going to go into the Gen AI and Tanzu Platform model. And for this demo here, I'm going to select my Ultra model. That's on one of my fastest GPUs. So I like I guess I like to go fast sometimes. I feel a little bit ultra today, but it works fine on CPUs as well. It's just a little bit slower. But we're trying to target to as many folks as possible, and we do realize that getting GPUs or access to GPUs can be quite challenging still. But you may or may not have a lot of CPUs available to you, so don't let that be a blocker for you. And we're happy to help work with you there. And then last but not least, I need an embedding model, so I'm going to select my trusty Nomic embedding model. And we're going to bind that here, create that here. So what we're doing is that we're essentially getting a service binding for this application to use. So we're gonna make use of Qwen3, which is going to be our chat and tool based model. Hence you see in the plan description chat and tools, And then we're gonna need a model to do embedding. So when we talk about retrieval augmented generation and things of that nature, you need an embedding model to do that process. So let's go ahead and bind that to my application. So I'm gonna go to MCP, I'm gonna go to the AI tool chat, I'm going to my services, and we have no services bound here. So we can really make this a little bit better service here. So let's go ahead, we're gonna bind our chat and tools model. We're gonna bind our embedding model. And then I want some agents, so let's make this thing super smart. Let's give it some agents here. So we're giving them access to MCP servers I have deployed on the platform. And this chat application will also be an MCP client that can make use of remote MCP servers. And last but not least, let's give it a database to do vector embeddings and things of that nature. So let's just do a quick recap here. So we bound 2 large language models to it. I've wired up 2 user provided services of existing applications on the platform. Those are the Bitcoin MCP server. That is an MCP server that queries the current price of Bitcoin. And there's the time MCP server that queries the current time. And a Postgres database to store the vector embeddings. These are all great things to make our application a little bit more, let's just say, smart, right? And while I'm doing that, I need to go restart so I can pick up those bindings. And what we'll see here too, hopefully, if everything's working well, this is a live demo, so things could always go sideways on me at any moment. But we should hopefully see the application respond and say hello, and not say I don't, not have any available models. And then we could ask it a few questions. We could probably ask it like what tools are available. It should tell what you can do in that nature. So let's go ahead and see that here. So let's see, did it restart? So now I can see, if you could see that here, I'll try to zoom in a little bit more. I have a chat model available. I have a PG vector store, which is great. So it sees that Postgres database. It sees that I have an embedding model. So we can do embeddings and things like if I wanted to upload a document, I could upload a document and ask questions. It sees that it has agents available. So we can do some tool calls and things of that nature. And we could see that we have some memory. So we're also using the there's a memory service written within this application. It tracks conversation IDs and stores those as embeddings and data. So you can have chat memory, and you can restart the application and come back to it, and it'll load from there. But now let's just say hello again, and a survey says, we'll see what's happening here. And okay, so what we see here is I've actually attached a reasoning model. So this top response is it itself thinking to itself. And some of our demo apps will have it will show like a little logo that says thinking. But in some of them not, it just kind of returns the whole result. So it says it thought, it's like, all right, it's already thinking like, oh, I can see tools available, but the user just greeted me, so maybe I just need to say like hello, right? Or how can I assist them, right? That's what's going on here. So like there's a lot of internal dialogue within the large language model happening here. Sometimes it's fun to interact with it there. But we could just say, let's say what tools are available, and it's thinking. And we should get back something like some functions of like, okay, so all right, but the user's asking what tools are available. I need to check the tools. Let's see. All right, so I can get the price of Bitcoin and get the user query, content query. So it can get the current price of Bitcoin and the current time. And what is like, this is kind of maybe like a silly demo, and like one of these workshops we were doing. Yeah, don't use this as a financial advice, because if something's wrong and it says the price of Bitcoin's like $20,000, don't go ahead and try to buy Bitcoin, because it's probably not that. But I think we'll prove that it's pretty accurate today. But it's important is that large language models have this concept of training, right? And then they have a knowledge cutoff date. After that, they have no concept of like what anything current is past their training date. There's no way for them to learn about the current price of Bitcoin, especially as the price of Bitcoin is extremely volatile, and the current time. Those things are constantly changing. So let's see what's going on now. With the use of the MCP protocol, though, we can wire up our this Tanzu Platform chat app, which is functioning as an MCP kind of client. It's calling these, it's interacting with a large language model, and then calling the MCP servers that have functions that get Bitcoin price, get Bitcoin price by currency, that the model can call and then get a response back and then reason on what the current price are, and that kind of extend its knowledge without training, so to speak. What is the current price of Bitcoin in USD? And okay, we got 20 minutes left, so let's thinking here. We'll have to do a quick time check here. All right, so so we had an error. It's not. I guarantee you, the price of Bitcoin is not $10,000. So perhaps this MCP server isn't quite working out so well, but or maybe it had the comma right. Let me try one more time. This is the beauty of live demos here. This is what happens when I redeploy them and don't quite test them right before the demo. Okay, yeah, so you should see that being probably more in the $100,000 mark, but you kind of get the premise here. I may have one that's already deployed that's working, but given the time, we might need to move on just to the next concept here. Let me go digging around here and see. I may have one of these already staged that is on a MCP server that's functional. All right, so let's go to this one. This was working yesterday, so I must have done something in my binding here. Hello. Oh, well, this one's dead. So anyway, fun times, but yeah, you kind of get where we're going here. That being said, let's get back to the slides. We have a few more slides to cover and then one more demo here. And I don't know if there have been any questions, but if there's any questions, just let us know.
There's only been one question so far, and I was able
Okay.
to get that one. So yeah,
Perfect.
we can keep rolling. Yep.
All right. All right, so autoscaler enhancements. Throughout the past releases, we've seen a lot of enhancements around autoscaler. You may have seen or heard like the concept of step-up autoscaling. I think if we go way back, like the 2.13.3.0 days, that started coming in, where you could scale your instances up and down by a certain amount, and that kind of rolled out into Apps Manager. I think later releases as well. So if you haven't picked up on that yet, you can do a lot of cool things already in autoscaler, but what we're seeing here really is, the enhancement of the custom metric comparison, where you're providing your own metrics for autoscaling to reason on, and then you could add essentially up to 5 of these key value pairs of custom metrics to trigger an autoscaling event. So you can, have even more granular control of when autoscaler goes into play and goes in and triggers there. So it's a great tool to use, especially like if you have a bunch of bursting application traffic. You can have many different ways to look at whether you're within your CPU entitlement, RabbitMQ, QDEF, many different things to toggle on here, and even more now. You can have up to 5 custom key value pairs that you define based on whatever metrics they may be in your system, and to really kind of control that there. So again, continue to see improvements with the autoscaler 10.2. If you haven't looked at autoscaler in a while, there's been a lot of work into it, so keep track of that. CF Linux to CF FS3 to CF Linux FS4. All right, so if you've been around a while, you may have been around. I was around for the FS2 to FS3 migration, and we learned a lot from that, and we started planning for quite some time. So that being said, starting back in the 4.0 timeframe, for the CF Linux FS4 had the ability to become the default stack. We released a playbook to go from CF Linux FS3 to CF Linux FS4, and going to 5, we all system apps and other tile apps that got deployed itself on the platform have migrated to CF Linux FS4. FS3 is by default turned off, like on new installs. As of 6.0, if you install a fresh 6.0, FS3 was removed and no longer included. And if you did migrate to 10, you did get a halt warning. So I tried this out, back in the day, where I tried to upgrade a foundation that had an FS3 stack to FS4, and I got a warning on my apply changes saying we've detected CF Linux FS3. You stop, right? Like you need to upgrade these stacks, right? So these are all things that we've done to make that easier. We obviously have the stack auditor tool. You know, you can work on the CF change stack AI tool. Hopefully you all have been working on this stack change process, and working on getting your development community to update their stacks. It's really not that huge of a pain, right? It's not like we're causing too much heartburn, but at scale, it is just another thing that you have to have your developers do to update their stacks and validate them on the new FS stack. So just call out there, but we can't quite say exactly what's happening. But as of the 10.2 upgrade, so if you're let's say if you're behind on this migration but still want to continue into the 10.2 timeframe, let's just say we'll have an ability here, hopefully soon, to continue the FS stack, CF Linux FS3 stack with a 10.2 upgrade. There's a slide internally of the full details, but Darren and I were a little nervous on releasing this yet because it hasn't been updated, or it hasn't been released yet. But I guess coming soon, and asterisk, this is not released yet product. Anything could change. Go back to that disclaimer slide. This is why that slide's in here. We're going to have a stack tile come into play here. So if you wanted to continue on the CF Linux FS3 stack, you could add that in. You get to a certain point in the 6.0 chain, like I can't remember the point release, but it's 6.0 something. You add this new tile that has the app stack, the CF FS3 app stack in it, and then you can go to 10 in a clean upgrade process. Again, there's a huge benefit from a security perspective to go to CF Linux FS4, excuse me. We want everyone to upgrade, but granted, there are some customers who can't make this upgrade in time, or there are some other kind of mitigating concerns or other concerns there. So we're also trying to work with people to make the stack upgrade process, do everything as possible as we can to mitigate the heartburn around that. If you're having problems about being delayed or being blocked by doing that upgrade, don't feel like you can't consume all these new features because of that. We'll have something here for you soon, but obviously you're going to still need to have those conversations, because getting to the FS4 stack is highly recommended just from a general security and hygiene perspective. All right, that being said, let's see what's next. We got 12 minutes, so I should keep going here. So canary deployments. Now this is a fun one. I've been playing around with this a lot this morning. 10.2 had what we called kind of step weight control within a canary deployment. Canary deployments are something that are relatively new within the ecosystem. I actually had to update my CLI. So like we kind of hinted at that auto updater CLI tool. It is part of 10.2. That would have really been sweet because I was trying to run some commands earlier and I was like, what is going on? Like I'm getting an error. I'm like, oh, my CF CLI is old. Well, I need to update it. Like, well, if I had, I hadn't updated my CLI to get to that thing yet. So again, another great example of there's been a lot of features and functionality happening, and because I just wasn't paying attention, I hadn't upgraded my CLI and I couldn't do some of these cool things. So canary deployments is something probably relatively new to y'all. I can't remember. I think it partially in the 6.10 timeframe, we had maybe a couple of sub releases of this. But we can kind of see what's going on with that. And there's also something called a CF revision command as well, where we can see different live droplets that are staged and live. I kind of have a screenshot of that here as well on the right. So let's toggle in here. Let's see if this demo can be a little bit better. If I don't have angry MCP agents at me, but we'll go from there. All right. So I've exited full screen. All right. So I'm gonna need. What I'm gonna need here. I'm gonna need a browser. So I'm going to go to this. I'm going to need my terminal just because, yeah, let's see here. All right. So let's go to home. And how do we look in here on the screen? Hopefully it's real. Let me zoom in a little bit more. And maybe a little bit more here on VS Code. So let's clear this out. And we're going to go into webinar. And we'll go into the Canary demo. Hello, webinar. And I've already pushed an app. It's got 6 instances. It's running. It's a static file, so it's nothing fancy. But let's go take a look at it. What's going on with this guy? All right, so we have an application. It's live here. Hello, webinar. All right, it says Tanzu Application Service 6.0. I got cutesy with it. I was trying to make some ASCII art. We'll see how it goes, right? So how do we do a canary deployment? And what does that really look like here? So I do have some commands. I typed these out just because, yeah, I didn't trust myself typing these live. So let's see, let's do a curl here. If I can do this correctly here. Oh, that looks crazy in VS Code. So yeah, I got that same result via a curl, Tanzu Application Service 6.0, and we'll go from there. Actually, maybe we'll just do that here because maybe that kind of looks a little cleaner if I do a full screen on VS Code. All right, so that being said, let's do CF apps. All right, webinar canary. So we have our hello webinar app. It's pushed. It says basically a simple app that just says, you know, Tanzu Application Service 6.0. So what do we want to do? So I actually want to update my app, and then I'm going to do a canary deployment. So let's go ahead and see if I can copy paste some ASCII art in a static file and successfully update this app. Who knows here, right? So right, you can see here, this is just a simple index.html, and I'm just gonna whoop. Hey, I upgraded to Tanzu Platform 10.2, right? So well, you can probably kind of see where we're going to go here with this demo here. But anywho, so we got this new source code ready. I want to make this update. I'm going to have 2 revisions of my application. It's going to be fun. All right, so go back to my commands because I can't type live really well. So I want to go ahead and do this. So I'm in my source directory. It's static file. So if you look at the manifest, it's like, you know, hello webinar, and I have one index. You know, this is super basic app, right? Nothing crazy going on here, right? But we're going to do CF push. And if you can't, so let me zoom in on that. It looks kind of small on the screen. CF push. And I'm in my source directory with my manifest. I don't have to call the name. Strategy, canary. We're going to do a canary deployment and instance steps or instance weights. We're going to do 40 and then 60, right? So we're going to do 40% of the AIs, step 1. And then if we continue the deployment, so this is kind of, if we look at what we call a canary deployment within this ecosystem here, you want to do phases, right? And we actually have human interaction here where like, hey, we're going to do A, B. Like, well, we're going to roll out B. Is B makes sense? Is B functioning? We want to roll out revision B, or new app version 2.0, and makes, like, let's say, and probably real world, we probably say like 10% or even smaller to say, what does 10% of the production traffic look against this application, right? That's kind of what the whole philosophy of a canary deployment is, right? But because we have 6, we'll see where that goes, and let's start that process, right? So let's do that. See a push strategy canary. All right, so it's doing its thing. It's gonna upload the new fancy index.html. It's super great at writing apps, and hopefully we'll see some new apps get deployed here. So that's pushing and starting, and we can even see this we can see some of this too in Apps Manager as well. So I picked up on that as well when testing this out, and I will hopefully get through here. We may not be able to finish the full demo here because I do realize we're 6 minutes left. So let's hopefully get this deployed here. Another fun should be coming up pretty soon. Maybe we can see some stuff happening in Apps Manager as this flows. If I can get out of this mega zoom. So, all right, so we're scaling. All right, so we can even start to see this here, where we have revision 2 and revision 3 happening. We have another AI spinning up. So it's starting to cut them over and start to take traffic here. Waiting for app to deploy. It's waiting. Well, interesting. Let's refresh. It didn't take this long before. This is just my luck. All right, we got one instance up. All right, am I hanging on something here? But either way, I think this is enough to start the demo here. So, or maybe I messed up the index.html. Maybe the canary's not passing. Maybe I didn't copy and paste correctly here. Let's see here. All right. Oh, here we go. All right. So that may be hung it up on something here. But as you see here, I'm doing a canary deployment. I'm refreshing. And I need to pause it here. So kind of the big cool thing here is eventually I'll hit an AI instance. So we're toggling through the 6 instances. One of them is new. One of them has picked up the 10.2, the change to the Tanzu platform. So that's going on there. And that's kind of, as we see that flow, that is the canary deployment and the instance steps going there. And once that continues to go through, you can say, hey, this was good. You can continue that deployment, or you could cancel the deployment and say, I didn't like that result. Like maybe I want to work on my ASCII art a little bit more, make a cooler thing here. So that's what's going on there. Since we're kind of low on time, let me flip back to the slides here as that cooks there. We'll look like a slideshow. All right, we've done the demo, and oh yeah, quick. Here's a bunch more features we didn't time to cover, but just want to call them out really quickly here. So if you're doing if you're working within the Azure CPI or the Azure BOSH system, you can retain your managed key encryption there on customer managed disk. So there's some enhancements to that Azure CPI that are going on there. And also additionally with the Azure regions, you can reduce your number of fault domains within Azure. So if you're having issues with some changes happening in the Azure space, making updates to the BOSH CPI there to help out there. One of my favorites here, non-contiguous CIDR blocks in the overlay network. So if you're in the situation where you may have had to change the Silk underlay network happening within your TAS foundation, we can support non-contiguous, so you didn't have to have like fully mapping CIDR blocks. So you can mix and match those blocks across and expand the range of the CIDR blocks, especially if you're in an extremely constrained network policy or network space, and like if you're using routable blocks as well. So when we're in here, typically you use a block that's not routable because it's in the the overlay of the Silk network, but a big update here in the networking space. FIPS stem cell support for the service tile, so that's that FIPS compliant stem cells rolling out across the board. And then we hinted at it earlier too as well, but the within 10.2, you can bring your own cloud native build packs. So this is kind of picking up the underlying framework that the OSSCF community has released. So if you wanted to use the CMB V3 proper build packs, we're laying down that framework there. You can bring your own now, and coming in later patches and releases, we'll start iterating and potentially propagating additional, Tanzu vended CMB V3s in Tanzu Platform. Last and foremost, or not last, I think there's a few more slides. Don't want to forget about the data tiles. I know we're really tight on time now. MySQL tile, Postgres tile, Valkey tile, RabbitMQ tile. These are all great tiles. They've had a lot of work and enhancements to them. If you have Tanzu Platform entitlements, you have access to deploy them all. You are not blocked by any kind of service instance situation either. So Mark Fines and I did a great demo of Postgres and RabbitMQ doing multi-region deployments across 3 different vCenters and 3 different actual AZs within one foundation. So like regional deployments of Postgres and Rabbit. So these tiles have gotten a lot of work and a lot of love. Check them out. If you're using them, keep using them. But yeah, a lot of stuff happening in the data space. Again, we could probably have our own full session just on that. And I'll pass it back to Darren here to close this out.
You've done a lot of talking. So so as we wrap up, as we talked about at the beginning, Tanzu Platform 10.2 is now generally available. There are a few features obviously that are going to be coming in some subsequent updates that we talked a little bit about today, but Tanzu Platform 10.2 is out there, it's available, and it's as you can see, there's a lot of great features here that drive a lot of value back to the business. And we did post a blog earlier this week that linked to a few other blogs. So if you want to learn more about the Gen AI tile, more about some of the enhancements to Tanzu Spring, you're going to have those blogs linked from the one that I dropped in the chat out there as well. If we jump to the next slide, Spring 1 and Explore are right around the corner. We do have breakout sessions where we'll be covering all sorts of topics on Tanzu Platform 10.2 and probably some additional things there that are in the coming soon bucket. But again, this is really built around platform engineering and data professionals that may be attending Explore, and so this is something that you should still look into. And then the other big piece of this too is Spring One. We've got our full in-person program available for developers, platform engineering teams. The Spring developer community will be there in force, and there's tons of talks to talk all about Spring Boot, App Advisor, all sorts of things. So there's some really great topics and things to discuss there as well. And last but not least, if you want to hang out with us in the course of the next hour, Nick runs this incredible CF Weekly show, and he runs it with Nikki Pike. And we're going to be talking actually a little bit in the next hour about Tanzu Platform 10.2, as well as just what's new in the world of Tanzu a little bit as well. But man, check it out. It's awesome. We thank you for joining us today. Super grateful for those of you who stuck it out all the way to the end, right up to 2 o'clock. But I think that covers us for today.
It's a great chance to see our beautiful faces because we'll have video support on StreamYard.
We will have video. That's correct.
If there's
Yeah,
no other
check us
reason
out.
but to see you guys on camera, that'd be the reason for me. Excellent.
All right.
Thank you both for attending. This has been recorded. Will be available on demand shortly after the end of this presentation. Once again, thanks Darren, thanks Nick, thanks to all of you guys for attending. We hope to see you guys at our next event, or hope to see you guys at the next CF Weekly happening soon. All right. Bye all.
Thank you.
Thank you.